to another week of the Jankity podcast. Do. There's music in front already. I'll put that in later. Episode number 41 for y'all. I am, of course, your main guy here, Carson, and I've got the tremendous Thomas with me, as always. I say as always as if you've always been here, but...
In your heart, I have.
Yes. And I guess before we get into anything major, obviously if you're listening to this, well, you're already subscribed to it, hopefully. If you're watching this, go ahead and go down, like, and subscribe to Multi-Murdy Media here on YouTube. You'll get this channel, or playlist, Jankity Podcast. You'll also get the Gutsy Ass Gamer, that's my Twitch stream, and stuff. And, of course, you'll get Poncho's Paint Booth, which is my hobby thing, which this week is going to be the Necron Warriors, which, whatever. And then after that is going to be Silent King, which I'm almost done with. And that's a big mile. That's 4 videos. So,
Damn.
Yeah, which also means I can kind of take a break once I upload stuff a little bit, but not really.
No thanks.
And then, of course, Multi-Murdy Media on Instagram and Facebook to get all of the updates anytime shows come out, or at least, like, within a day or two, depending. And then, of course, Tom here has his own stuff that he's in, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, I mean, mostly this, and then if you're more 40K focused stuff, I'm also on TFG Radio.
TFG Radio, our friends. One of the only 40K podcast I listen to because it's people that I know. Otherwise, I would not give a shit.
Go right to hell.
Yeah, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way, even though you listen to them anyway.
I mean, it's funny because, like, with other stuff, and I feel like this, I don't know how true this is in other stuff, like other hobbies or whatever, but it's like, there's those occasional things where you're like, oh, I like these guys because I like the way they talk about things, like, they're smart, they come with some cool shit, but then, it's also like, after a while, I don't know, sometimes it's like, you know, maybe that's like an episode or two, you know, he just kind of drops off. I don't know, I don't listen to too many other stuff, especially right now, because it's like, it's hard listening to a hobby podcast that's like based on playing in person at events when we're in pandemic times, so.
True. Also, I know in my case it's usually hard for me to listen to a podcast unless it's like if it's just like informational or something like that, it's like I'm out.
Smokes, I'm out.
Right. Okay, so more starting off stuff. Of course, I got more fun and fancy beers. This one's interesting. This one's from Indeed Brewing Company, and it is chaivelvet. So, yeah. So this guy is what was it? I just saw ale with lactose and natural flavors added. That's ale with chai spices and lactose. So it's gonna be kind of like a chai tea. And I'm assuming this is going to be more of a one and done sort of thing. Good news is it still looks like beer. Huh?
Oh, there you go. You like the one and done, like, after you're done with this, you're like, okay, I'm out. I'll never have this again.
Well, no, I mean, just like in a setting or in a session.
Oh, I see.
You probably wouldn't have more than one. Yeah, like you would eat a slice of cake and not the whole thing. If you know what I mean.
That's the cake, but I get you.
Doesn't taste bad. Let's see. A lot of foam. But it's not bad. Okay, so getting into, like I said, I actually have some notes this time. I guess probably the most prominent thing, being that it is a new year, is actually thinking about what we're gonna do once everything opens up again. Like what you really want to do, and I'm sure that you have at least one or two things that you're like,
I have like a laundry list.
go for it.
Man, it's like, well, like there's okay for me. It's like three major things. The first major thing is going to movies. Like I love going to movie theaters. My favorite actually out here, that's specific to California, is, at least I think, maybe they expanded, but I can't remember, is ArcLight Cinemas. Like once you go there, you just like you can't not go anywhere else. Like the ticket's a little more expensive, by like $5, but like, man, it is like such an experience. And like I love going to movie theaters as a kid. I love it to this day. It's like one of my favorite things to do, and that's been pretty hard for me. I'm not gonna lie. Number two, concerts.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a lot of them before, but like the fact that I can't go to them now makes me feel like, God, like the last concert, I'm pretty sure the last concert I went to was
With me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I might have gone to a movie like since then, but I don't think so. I think that was like the last like awesome concert I've been to.
God, when? That was like 2 summers ago now, wasn't it?
It was in winter.
2019. Oh, okay.
It was October.
Yeah,
It was October 2018.
Was it 2018?
Yeah.
Shit.
It's been a while. I know. And not just concerts like metal shows. Like there are so many metal bands that I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna do whatever I can to see them. And it's tentative, obviously, because God knows what's gonna happen in even 9 months. But there's a big old metal fest happening in Seattle in October, and there's some big names going there. Some really cool bands. I'll try to figure. A buddy of mine posted. I haven't looked at it since, but there's like what is it? Alien Whippery's going. There was another really good one that I really liked. Kind of had like a Warped Tour feel with more metal focused. So I'm excited. I would totally do that if I could, for sure. And then honestly, the third thing is just like going to the game store, and hanging out and playing games. That was such a like routine for me. It was like, okay, every Tuesday night, just go to the old hobby club and game it up, and then fuck off to the pub.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be.
That's such a great regular thing to do.
Although I guess we are gonna have a somewhat of a different setting in that case, but still Pasadena. But
Yeah, but the motion's gonna be the same.
Oh yeah. I'll just have to pay for parking, but whatever. I would say I'm sure Knotfest is gonna come back eventually with a fuck, what's the word? With a vengeance. There you go. That's the word I'm thinking of. I will definitely be hitting that up, especially since the last one they didn't even do like a full festival. It was just like a kind of like an extended amphitheater concert, so they only had like 5 bands up. I mean, it was still good, but it wasn't the same. They didn't have like the hundreds of merch booths and I'm hoping too now that like everybody's clamoring to go outside again, because I know like the last couple they'd been kind of like steadily having less and less invested into them, especially after mostly after Slayer broke up or supposedly stopped playing for like 5 years or whatever, however long their farewell tour lasted. But yeah, so that'll be a good time, and it's here in town basically. I mean, you're closer than I am. That's just out in San Bernardino, where there's literally nothing else in that town. Yeah, San Bernardino's. Yeah, San Bernardino's just kind of a hole, sort of. unfortunate.
Eh,
This stuff isn't actually that bad. But still one and done.
the chai.
Yeah, the chai.
I mean, for me, that's just like death. It's like I'm lactose intolerant, so it's like,
Oh, yeah.
I get hungover and have the shits. This is crazy.
So it'll fuck you up then. But actually,
What's the ABV?
I literally 7.2. Not bad.
Not bad.
In a 12-ounce can. So I'll be feeling it later. But as far as things that I want to do, mine were, I mean, obviously those things, what you said is all of that, of course.
But 100 times more.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting, too, because, like, since I work at a venue, well, not last year anymore, but 2019, my last actual year, I mean, I literally had been to, like, well over 100 shows, but I'd only actually, like, went to maybe 2, I think. Only one of which I can remember, too. I went to see, Lacunacoil and some other bands
Oh, I remember you telling me going to that show.
at the it was them and fuck, who was the other one? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. I didn't even end up staying all the way through the last band. But actually what was really funny is that well, you've heard you've heard some of their newer stuff, I'm assuming by now, right? Kind of.
Maybe I haven't listened to them in a bit, so I might be behind on them. I've been actually catching up on other stuff, but we'll get into that in a second.
Well, I would catch up on them too, but I was gonna say it's funny because I ended up buying those Eargasm earplugs for my own work. They're like the really high tech ones that have like the sound filter and all that stuff in, which it's good. It's good in my case. It's if I'm working at a venue and it's always loud as shit, I don't want to I don't want to blow out my eardrums and stuff. But I guess that, like the way they work is that they somehow figured out how to get them to like tune out a certain frequency and above. Well, the thing is that the lead singer, or well, not the lead singer. There's 2 singers, but the lady Christina, who's their like female lead. Whenever they went on, I couldn't hear her at all, and I thought like, well, I thought either like A, they fucked up the sound check, or B, she fucked up her voice. I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate. And then for whatever reason, I just said no, I was like, well, I can't really hear anything, so I might as well just take these things out and I'll like, whoa, shit. Like, it turns out that her voice is like so loud that my earplugs actually just completely tuned her out.
Damn.
It was insane. Yeah,
That's actually nuts.
yeah, they can belt it out too, and they're only getting better with age too. So there you go.
I'm actually looking at them right now. I've never heard of this shit. This is awesome.
I mean, they had like they had their little stint on iTunes, or not iTunes. What the fuck? On MTV, like way back in the day, back whenever MTV still did music, and then they just kind of
Yeah, not the TV.
yeah, right. It's just TV now, or STV.
Astronaut.
Oh yeah. Well, he died, I guess. But more specifically, actually, there's a couple things that I think that, or at least that I'd probably do later. A little bit more general. Speaking of gaming stuff, I think like once Gameology like really opens for public, I would probably start playing Magic again every once in a while.
Really?
A little bit. Partially because it's one of the, I only really stopped because like, A, I didn't want to spend the money for it, or yeah, that's pretty much it. But I mean, I'm actually making more money now, and B, I mean they yeah, they've been open for months now, but they're not like open.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So it's like, hey, I'm supporting you, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned magic too, because I was digging around in like one of my storage bins or something, and I found like this old jankity magic deck that I built way back in the day when I was just doing like custom games against my old roommates back in DC.
Ah.
I think it was like a tree spider deck or something. It was like in the green, and then I was like, damn, I haven't thought about magic in a long time, because that was like 3 editions ago or something.
Oh yeah. I did play for a while at the store in Burbank for a little bit, but that was like years ago now. So I got a bunch of old cards that I gotta, or a bunch of older decks that I gotta take apart, and I'm figuring I could probably offload some of my some of the stuff that's actually worth money for some store credit or something.
Yeah, I see. Like, I probably could have gotten into like Magic like competitively or like being a regular. Except I had a really bad first experience with it. So, buddy, the same roommates are like, we all got into Magic just on our own, just for fun. And then my one friend stuck with it, but he was going to drafts and stuff, and there was a local hobby store near us at the time. Excuse me, and he took us, and it was like a draft. It was a draft night.
Yep.
And there was this total grognard running it. Like, this guy straight up looked like he was out of somebody's basement.
Not his own.
Any more hair, he would have been something out of like David Bowie's Labyrinth, like one of the Muppet characters. Like, seriously, I swear to God. So we go there, and I've never done a draft in my life. I know how kind of it works, but I've never. And so, like, I'm gonna do our draft and everything, and I end up getting paired against this guy second round. I lost my first round, and I make a mistake, and like I know I made a mistake. And I'm sorry, and he's like, oh, I didn't mean to. And he's like, makes a big deal, like, oh my God, did you just do this? And he's like calling me out loud, like, oh my God, did you cheating? And I'm like, no, I'm not cheating. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'm new at this. He's like, well, it's totally legal. You know that. I was like, dude, look, I'll give you the win. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm just here to learn how to play. And he's like, oh, and he's like, it's like roasting me with fire. And it was like one of those things where he's making very clear, like very loud, like he wants other people to hear. I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, why are you? I'm clearly new at this. Why are you being such an asshole? And like out of that, I was just like so turned off. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't. Like, I just turned me. I was a really bad first experience.
Well, I mean, I guess welcome to Adam and Danny and John's world. Yeah, no, I was lucky. I never had that. I think the probably the hardest experience I had playing Magic is the last tourney that I went to. One of my opponents was deaf, so that took a while. But here's the thing: like I'm decent when it comes to like communication, so I was actually able to get through 2 rounds, and we tied. Whereas I think like everybody else only managed to get through like 1 round, so it was like a lot of like this, like I'm doing this is doing that, so that was interesting. But and drafts are nice. Draft tournaments are nice too because like, well, I mean you can just blame the cards for everything.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, and I also figured out too like, well, I mean one of my things too is like obviously I don't want to have like 80 copies of like every common bullshit card that they have, but I know one of the things that a lot of people did at the Burbank store was everything that you don't want you just give it to the store.
Yeah,
kind of, and then you're basically just like paying the $15 for the experience or whatever, or
which is like standard for any like kind of event, right? You're going to an event, you pay some ante, and it's like cool, you're having a fun time, and you keep some cards if you want them, great. If you don't, then whatever.
Oh yeah. But anyways, and then even more specifically than hobby stuff, one thing I really want to do is whenever they manage to get the St. Patty's Day block party downtown going again, I'm going.
Yes.
Cause
Yeah, I remember.
yeah, I went like I went the first time that they, well, not the first time that they had it, the first year that I moved here, I went. You froze up on me again. All right, we'll wait for Tom to come back. Hopefully. Yeah, we'll keep his face up here. Anyways, yeah, as far as this beer goes, oh, there you are. Can you hear me? Shit. There he goes again. Anyways, as far as this beer goes, yeah, it has like a lactose taste, but shit. I'm already feeling this stuff already, but I'm hearing you.
Good.
Can you hear me, Tom?
A lot. Sorry.
I just realized I haven't been doing this full screen either, so. Alright, how's that? Fuck.
You started with St. Patty's Day and been there forever, and then it was.
There we go. Yeah, so I went the first year I was here, so that would have been in 2012, I believe. Yeah, so a while ago. And then after that, it just kind of ended up being, it was always like, we have to work that day, or, let's just do something closer to home. Well, fuck that. Not this time. This time, yeah, this time we're going. And also now that, like, I know the city, like, a lot better than I did back then, obviously.
Oh yeah, you know where to go, you know the places to be, that kind of stuff.
And I actually also, well, I mean, if you're going to that thing, you don't really have to know that much, but because you're in a enclosed environment or whatever, since they actually shut down like the whole block around it. And actually, the only stores they even had open there last time I was there was just the pub that hosted the thing, and then like some little Vietnamese convenience store or whatever. That was like the only thing that was still open.
Was that Casey's? That was the one on Flower?
Yeah, Casey's Pub. They're the ones who put it up.
Yeah, I like that pub a lot. Actually, I remember I went there a couple times when I was still living downtown.
Oh yeah, I know. And the thing is, like even that place, I'm gonna have to go to that place more often every once in a while too, because I've only been there twice. Like the first time was when I was there for the block party, and then the second time was a few years later. The first time that I had to go downtown for jury duty.
Oh damn.
Yeah, and that time I was lucky enough that I didn't get picked, but I still had to like sit around for until like 3 p.m. And I remember they were telling me like, yeah, every year the permit gets more expensive because it just gets more and more wild. There's more like puke and whatever to clean up off the street. It's like, understandable.
Yeah, I've only been there. I've been there a couple times. The thing I liked about the environment was like the patio was really chill, and I liked that there was a foosball table. I'm terrible at foosball, but I love playing it. And then they actually had pretty good prices too, for what I remember. But I mean, hell, I'm gonna see if they're even still around, because like God knows.
It was probably still L.A. prices, but
Yeah. But I mean, it wasn't bad though, considering. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny though, actually, when we were talking about metal, I totally remembered something about. So one of my probably all-time favorite metal bands of all time is Sybreed, and they broke up in like 2013 after Post-Human Manifesto. But like it was Antares. Like Antares got me like full blown into metal. Like that was it. That's when I was hooked and I started looking for other stuff. day I still think it's like that's probably my top 5 metal albums of all time. It's just perfection to me. But I was so bummed because I got into them after they had broken up, and I was like, man, this kind of sucks. Like, I'd love to see more stuff by them, especially because like some bands, like Dark Tranquillity, they've got like a discography for days,
Oh yeah.
But so I figured out recently that, and call me stupid because both of these things have been around for at least 2 or 3 years, if not more. But I figured out recently that the band split. After they split, it was amicable from what I understand, and then both halves, so the lead singer and then the rest of the band, being the other half, as it usually is, both ended up doing their separate things. The lead singer released a band under the name Shadow Domain, and it's this like hyper techno sci-fi like metal thing, very much akin to like Sybreed. Sounds very much like it, but from a voice standpoint, and not so much from a musical. And then the musicians for the other one, they started this band called Obsidians, and they're dope. They only have 4 songs out, which sucks, but each one of their songs features a different singer, and like the most recent one actually is the guy from Soilwork. And it's some of the coolest stuff I've ever heard, because the music stays the same, but the singer changes. And I think it's such a cool concept.
I wonder. I was gonna say how long ago did they start that project? 'Cause if it's only 4 songs, they.
Well, from what I understand, I think it's their side project. They're all doing their own thing, but they meet together to do this. So I think Obsidians has been around since 2016, and I think they've released at least a song a year.
Oh, so it's just like a single every once in a while.
Basically, yeah. And I only discovered them because they showed up on my new music feed, because the most recent single dropped not too long ago, like a month or 2. And then Shadow Domain's been around since 2018, but I haven't heard anything about a new album from him yet. But just wanted to touch on that before we moved on from metal. But that I've been just like super listening to them, because it's like, oh my god, it's like anything to scratch the psychic itch. Like for me, just that band. I think like, especially because like they're clearly like descendants of Meshuggah, and like Meshuggah's just great. But like, Meshuggah can be kind of like one-dimensional at times, and Sybreed just like with especially their first 3 albums, they just hit so many different like flavors of what they do. It's just so good.
Well, that's just your dimensions, man. No.
It's just like your opinion or whatever.
Yeah, I actually haven't heard either of those 2 projects at all.
Highly recommend them.
There we go.
So good. Shadow Domain can be like preachy at times. He's very anti-establishment, but like whatever. I mean, he was prophetic. If anything, 2020. I'm like, yeah, screw the government. They're watching us. They're all trying to control us. Yeah.
Like, oh, they did know what they were talking about.
Yeah, it's very Orwellian, but fitting for 2020.
Also, I mean, I guess you could say that nobody ever really moves on from metal, either.
I don't think you can. It's like once you get hit with the bug, you really can't.
I mean, unless you suck. I guess.
Yeah, unless you suck.
Or what it usually ends up being is one of these people who's like, yeah, I just like music, but they don't actually really. Those are the.
Yeah, it's because like with music, right? Like people who really love music, they'll try to like find new stuff. They're always on the prowl for like what's cool, and I don't mean like pop or anything like that, but they're super into stuff, right? Like my dad will go from classic rock and he's British new wave, and he loves that stuff to death. Like Genesis is his favorite band, but like there'll be times he'll come to me like, hey, you heard of this band? And it'll be like this alt rock band. It's like hot, and I'm like, how did you figure out about this before I did or something? Like, you stay at the top of it, like, and so I'm like, damn, all right. Like he loves his old stuff, but he keeps looking for new things, and I think that's part of it, right? Like if you really love music, it's not just like I've got my 3 bands, and 2 of them are Jack Johnson, and that's where I'm gonna stay. It's like you try to find other stuff. You try to branch out. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it always annoys me. Like, well, I guess annoy isn't really a word. More infuriate. Whenever whenever.
More the heavier term.
Yeah. Whenever like I hear somebody say like, oh, I like this band or whatever, but then like they only recognize like the first album from 2003 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like their top 5 or like their top 5 songs. And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
have you listened to any of their other discography?
Probably not, but
Yeah. I mean, and you know, and there's no shame with like saying like, oh, I really like their popular songs, but I don't know them very well beyond that. Like, just be honest. Like, you know, not a contest.
yeah, or you just like something like that. But no, it's, you know, oh, I love or I like this band, and then downhill from there. Yeah. Are you listening to this show and thinking, man, I'd like to start a podcast, but I don't even know where to start? Well, Buzzsprout has the answers for you. Buzzsprout is a podcast hosting service that provides a number of valuable resources to help you on your podcasting career path. For one, Buzzsprout offers indefinite hosting of all your episodes and allows you to host as much material as you want, depending on the type of subscription that you opt for. Buzzsprout also provides a means for getting your show hosted to every major podcasting platforms such as iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, you name it. In addition, Buzzsprout also provides various means to get your show monetized through various sponsorship and affiliate programs, links to other paid hosting platforms such as Patreon and YouTube, and your own personal newsroom to learn all the tips and tricks for optimizing your podcast for the greatest return on your investment. If you're hearing all this and you're still interested, you can go to my link below and receive an Amazon gift card for starting a podcast hosting subscription that you'll receive on the second billing period of your podcast journey. Everyone has something to share, and there's no time like the present. Join Buzzsprout today. So now that we're not entirely new as a duo podcast, it is time to bring back the article segment that I've been doing. Little post-apocalypse for you guys. So basically the idea of this is I just find Facebook articles that, well, I don't read them, first of all, because, you know, who has the time for that? And the idea is to be able to extrapolate something from the titles, right? And a lot of times they get political because it's Facebook, obviously, but sometimes they're funny. So, and then well, I mean, obviously you've seen, I always link them up so that people can, you know, go in there and read and just sort of do the work themselves, because I don't, yeah. Ain't nobody paying me yet.
Pure title impression.
There you go. So, first one is Don Jr. and Eric, the Trumps, were nicknamed Stank and Chode in high school, and the names still fit. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory.
I mean, I don't even give a shit if that's true. That's just pretty funny.
Yeah. And, well, if you go to the article, whenever I post it up, they have their high school pictures up, and they look like a couple of stanky chodes. Pretty much, it's not flattering. What one of them has ear length hair. Let's put it that way. Yeah, it's not the blonde one; it's the other one, whoever that is.
That's Eric, I think.
Yes.
Wait.
I think so.
I don't know. That's not Eric. Eric's the blonde one because he was special enough to be named Junior.
You see the blonde?
I think so.
Yeah, I just realized that it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, Eric's the blonde one.
There you go. Okay, so then, yeah, Don Jr. is the one who looks even more like shit. Then, now, hard to tell. Alright, next one is not as fun. Millennials control just 4.2% of U.S. wealth, 4 times poorer than baby boomers were at age 34. Fun. That's you and me. And It looks like you froze up once. Oh, there.
Still have all the wealth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that, I mean, but that's so weird though, because we were still trickle down economics was totally gonna work, you guys.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Hey, you know what's funny?
Wait for the trickle, man.
Trickle, more like anal seepage in our case. And what's interesting too is I saw a thing actually just earlier when I was just scrolling through that apparently the whole $15 an hour thing, that still only amounts to like 35 grand a year.
Yeah, it's not that much.
Yeah, it ain't, and people are pissed about that. Which
it's also assuming you're working full time. Actually, I'm gonna calculate this shit out, and that's before taxes and stuff too. Good grief.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, like if you're working a job, taxes aren't as bad for you, or at least you don't have to deal with them yourself. But yeah, that was
assuming you work 40 hours a week. Wait, I gotta add it wrong. Yeah, assuming you work 40 hours a week, it's about 33 grand, 600. Assuming there's 56 weeks in a year, I can't remember. In a year. 52. Yeah, so it's even less than that.
perfect. Plenty. Yeah.
And then that's insane.
You'll be a millionaire in no time.
You just gotta bootstrap it, man. Stop buying Starbucks.
Oh yeah. You know, actually, what's funny about that too is apparently that phrase was originally coined as like a joke, because for anybody to think that you can actually like pull yourself up by what you're standing on is retarded, so to speak.
It's considered like a catch-22.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or not a catch-22, but like, yeah, it's like impossible.
And of course now it's, well, what morons like to say.
Yes.
All right, next up, this one's even more political. Many GOP voters value America's whiteness more than its democracy. Well, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and I think actually I would argue that that's one of those. Well, no, not at this point, no, because there's so many people leaving the Republican Party now because they hate it. That probably the people who are left are the white supremacists.
Oh yeah.
In fact, many of them are doing that, but that's because the party's gotten smaller.
Well, I mean, it's also fair to point out that this article was well before, all the festivities going on in DC currently.
Oh, good.
Which well, I mean, it's become fairly evident that a lot of those people were actually just whatever you consider Trump supporters to be. Because I mean, obviously, I would imagine before now, what their ideals would be more in line with what the the Republican Party and the GOP was, but now it's not,
Yeah.
so to speak. Now they're now we have that third party that everybody always wanted, but it's not that great.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't sign up for the MAGA party, please.
Right.
No, thank you.
Or I guess technically it'd be a fourth party, if you're or maybe even a fifth party if you're all about being an independent or a libertarian or whatever the green.
Green party.
Yeah, or whatever the Green Party is. So yeah, we're just living. We're just going through fun times.
Oh yeah.
I guess
We'll be laughing about it in X years.
our kids will, not us so much.
Yeah. They'll be laughing. They'll be laughing when they're fighting the wars that our hubris has caused.
Oh yeah. Dude, I don't know though, because I mean, like, being a 40K fan, I mean, if you read the lore a lot, like I mean, those people, you know, they're surviving in like polluted cityscapes and eating paste. They're fine.
That's true. Yeah.
What are we bitching about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I've always wanted to be born on a giant-ass cathedral ship, never move 2 square miles, and then maybe die by the time I'm 16. Totally.
I was thinking more Hive City, but
Hey, I took it to the next
sort of the
level.
same thing.
Yeah.
And then you just like, all right, well, I guess I'll just join the army or whatever.
And Tyranid Post.
Yeah, right. And also to be fair, okay, well, we're out of the articles for a second. We're into some nerd alert stuff, but to be fair, I mean the imperial, like if you join like the Imperial Army, you're not in like some useless Middle Eastern war type of bullshit. You're going into some actual fighting, so you know you're like actually heroes, I guess.
Well, and I mean, but like,
Yeah.
it also like gives this kind of impression of fodder. Like, there's the Imperial Guard omnibus, where one of the stories is about a new recruit. He's fresh off the world. He goes in like it's considered an honorable thing, and then like his entire battalion from his planet like doesn't even make to the ground. Like the ship gets hit or it's just shredded apart. He and like 10 people out of like 300 escape the gunboat alive, and then they meet some vets. The vets are like, "We're fighting because this is life. This is life for us. We have nothing else, and if we don't fight, we die. And so we're trying to just scrape by." And it's and that way it's like they're definitely fighting to strive. But it's always that's the whole point of the Grimdark, right? Is this
Yeah.
it's this inevitable entropy of no matter what happens, we're all gonna die and lose, and chaos or the Tyranids is gonna take everything over. Like one of the two.
I don't think I've read that one. There's like 3 Imperial Guard omnibuses at least.
Actually, so funny story. Actually, I found that book because the first time I went to visit my in-laws, I was in their library, and I kid you not, I found a 40k Imperial Guard omnibus, and I was like, "Can I borrow this?" And they're like, "Yeah, you can have it. We don't ever read it." And I don't know where my father-in-law picked it up. It looked like a military book, and he's kind of into sci-fi, so I think that's why he ended up snagging it. This book was like, I mean, I'll get it in a second, but like, it was like written maybe early 2000s. Like, it's one of the older books, and like, but I think it's after Dan Abnett, so it's like kind of modern, but it's like definitely old. It had that kind of feeling of like 90s sci-fi writing style to it, a little bit. I don't know how else to describe it aside from that, but it was good. Oh man, it was good. I didn't actually finish it just because I read that what is it, that campaign arc that was like half the book, and then it switched stories, and I was like, I don't know any of these characters, and I was like, I have to move, I'm getting married, and I just haven't finished it since.
Well, somewhere as long as you don't lose it, that's what really matters.
Oh no, it's up there on the shelf over there.
Over there somewhere. It's
Over
over there.
Yeah, so
Gotta flex.
over there is to do the good show.
Just rip your shirt.
I would, but it'd be the waist part.
No, the only guard omnibus I read was the one. It did have one. It did have one. There was one book where they were fighting orcs, but it's not the one you mentioned. It was like one where like some faction of the Inquisition kind of caused it, or whatever, and then that's the whole thing. And then there was the one book in there that I didn't like was one about a group that got attached to a force of of a Krieg regiment,
Oh,
and they fight they end up going to a world and fight like a bunch of fight Necrons that are coming out, but it's like the old school version.
old school Nick, yeah.
Yeah, so that like there's like kind of a disconnect for me there. I couldn't really get into it that much. But the other 2 swords, and then I forget what the middle book was. Yeah, because I've clearly read too much, but
I think of every omnibus you could possibly read, I think the two best. I don't know if this is an actual omnibus yet. And then for those who don't know, actually, an omnibus is a nerd term for a series of books about the same faction or topic. It's usually mostly used in like 40k lore and shit like that. But if you ever hear the term omnibus, that's basically what it is. It's like a collection of stories around the same general faction or topic or piece of history. But for me, the two favorites are the Black Legion one, but I don't think it's an actual omnibus yet. It will probably be one day.
Oh yeah.
And then the Night Lords one. Night Lords omnibus is like some of the best writing I've ever read of any. Like, I don't care if you actually like 40k, just read this book. It's so good.
Yeah, I haven't.
In fact, if you hate it, read it more.
No, I haven't. I don't think I've even seen. I think I have seen. I've seen the Night Lords one, but I don't have that one yet. I actually.
It's solid.
Ooh. I'm actually surprised that you never that you didn't read the first Dark Angels one. Have you gotten into that one yet?
The Dark Angels omnibus?
Yeah.
The Dark Angels variant.
It's
Because I've read almost all the 30k Dark Angel stuff. I've read some of the 40k Dark Angel stuff, not all of it.
No, this would be 40k. It's like I think it's like Master of the Dark Angels or something like that.
Oh, it's about Azrael's Ascent. I think I read one of the stories out of that.
Yeah, so like I know like one of the books is they're all Master of something. Like one of them is Master of Sanctity or something like that. But that one's pretty good. That actually you kind of find out some things about the whole end of Caliban. In there, it's not bad, and there's another one too after that I got sitting on my shelves too. Another like whole omnibus, so I guess we'll see what that's about eventually. But I'm halfway through Praetorian of Doran right now, so that one's an interesting one.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's one of the prequels to the Siege, right? I think that's one of the books that leads up to the Siege of Terra.
Well, they all are.
Which is also amazing. But like that's like literally like
yeah.
It's that, then it's the buried dagger, and then it's Siege of Terra, and it's just so good.
No, there's a lot more books in between. Still.
Are you really?
Yeah, like.
Was Praetorian Door with Alvarius?
That's the one.
Yeah.
With Dorn and Alfarius.
That's the one without. Yeah. So there's like 10 books in between that. My bad.
Maybe more. I don't remember.
I'm not gonna look up the list. There's like it goes Praetorian Darn, and then that whole book happens, and then it's about the subsequent fighting. The forces of chaos making it to the solar system. A couple more things about that. Some side stories, and then the last couple stories about how Horus breaks into Pluto in that area, and then how he finally gets to Terra, and right when he's like, I'm at Terra, that's when like the Horus Heresy is officially over, and then the Siege of Terra begins, and that's where we're at right now. And the Siege is like, it's like some good shit, some really good shit.
Well, I got a ways to go before I get there, so. But.
Well, hey, I mean, the funny thing is like I'm like because of like the release schedule of the Siege, I'm like tempted to just go back and like reread like whatever, at least piecemeal whatever I feel like, because there's so many good ones.
Well, you know what's interesting is I had actually, like way back whenever I was starting to like do this, I had thought of actually coming to you about maybe doing like a 40k book club sort of thing. But I figured.
Dude, I've actually thought of that too.
Well, I thought like, oh yeah, Tom totally has the time to go back and reread every single Horus Heresy book, right? Get to it. And me. Yeah, but I guess
if I were to do it, I'd probably do the audiobooks this time.
Maybe. But the last book that I would actually want to talk about, I guess, while we're still on 40K books, was the I probably as far as like the Space Marine battles series, like those old ones. For me,
Vaguely, I don't think I've ever actually read any of them.
well, there's a bunch. I mean, some of them
Oh, I'm sure.
suck,
Yeah.
but I would say the best one that I've seen so far was the shit. What are those like fiery skeleton guys that they retconned?
Oh, Legion of the Damned.
Yeah, the Legion of the Damned book. That one is by far like the best one because it doesn't actually follow them. They sort of just like show up at the end.
Show up.
Yeah, but it's like a whatchamacallit. It follows a successor chapter of the Imperial Fist, and they fight like some real serious Khorne warband, and then like just when everything's about to go to shit, here comes the Legion of the Damned, and it's interesting. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
Anyways,
There's a nod
yes.
to Legion of the Damned in one of the Black Legion books too. Without spoiling it, it's actually pretty cool the way they are, quote, maybe reimagined, unquote.
Oh, in one of the yeah, that's the one where they only have like 2 books in that so far, I think, right? Or no. You know what?
It has.
Is that the one? What was the first book? Talon of Horus, the one about Abaddon. We're starting with Abaddon.
I don't know if it's called Town of Horrors, but the first Black Legion book is about the two main dudes who one of them used to be Thousand Sons, one of them used to be world eaters, and they go looking for Abaddon because like it's their destiny or whatever. And when they find Abaddon's like, "Yo, I'm starting a new band. You guys want in?"
It's the one where like the cover is Abaddon with like his call out like this, right?
I think so, and like
Yeah.
part of what Abaddon says is like, I've got the vengeful spirit, but like I need the talent of Horus if anybody's gonna follow me, and I think that's part of the first book. Either that or it's a small side story. I can't remember which, but I'm pretty sure it's the first book. That's the whole point of the book. Is at the end of the book they get the talent of Horus.
Okay. Yeah. They're not. I don't think they're finished with that one yet. Cause I know like the second book came out sometime last year, I believe.
Yeah, let me see. But we don't have to stick on it too. But yeah.
Yeah. Which is good because I still got plenty more articles to go through, and so some of these are kind of old too. So yeah. So going back to our posts. The next one we got here is a little more fun. Paradox-free time travel is logically possible, say physicists. Could be interesting.
I mean, from what little I understand of physics, but which gives me enough to have a valid opinion of it in my head. I mean, I'd have to see it. I mean, I don't really. I mean, sure, I guess. Maybe I'm not smart enough. I just always thought, like, that's technically not possible, unless the whole point is you're just now in a different reality, which means you're not technically time traveling, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it could be one of those things where you're just like, whoops, I accidentally killed everybody and everything. So.
Yeah. Turns out I was the Big Bang of this reality.
And yeah, or it'll probably be and I'm sure the first thing that everybody who manages to figure out how to time travel, they're probably just gonna be one of those dorks like, oh, I guess I'm gonna go back and kill baby Hitler. So if I was able to go back in time, I would just give him his fucking art degree. That would solve that problem.
Yep. No killing necessary.
Right? I mean, then he would basically just be another weirdo like Andy Warhol or whatever. So.
Yeah. Well, Andy Warhol is a cool weirdo. So, let's not rag on him.
true. He was American weirdo. That's what you mean.
There you go.
More or less, or whatever they when was he around? That was like the 70s, wasn't it?
70s, 80s.
I think, yeah. Moving on to another fun one. A 12-year-old DJ was busted throwing a rave in his school's bathroom. He's definitely
Like that's the news, like hyper accentuating something that doesn't actually need like damn, you have nothing else to report on.
Well, to be fair, this was from Happy Magazine, which I have no idea what that is. So, sounds like this kid was definitely doing more than I was at 12 years old. I know that much.
Dude, at 12 years old, I was playing Legos.
Oh yeah. Which I'm still I still have the idea of doing like my own pseudo electronic music, but I mean I kind of put that on the back burner because my laptop doesn't really like it would crash after a bit. But I am working on a new computer, so
Music production stuff is like it's surprisingly more like CPU heavy than you'd think.
oh yeah. But yeah, no, like I said, I'm building my own computer now, so that should hopefully be something I can actually deal with in the future. I got all the most expensive stuff so far, so that's good. I got the motherboard and processor and case. Everything else is going to be easier to deal with. All right, I'm loading up the next one here. This one's a little more fun. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Here's how we know how. Which, I don't know how because I didn't read this thing, obviously. But, yeah, we got a number now.
I bet you I think it's a combination, from what I remember of science, it's a combination of things like carbon dating, if you measure radiation and light, you can tell how long certain stars have been. So you just find like the oldest star you possibly. It's like there's ways to do it. It's just like very counterintuitive. Intuitive if you actually know how to do it.
True. I mean that's also assuming that like the oldest matter out there is even a star. I'm sure there's like a. I'm sure there's like a rock or a pebble or whatever floating out in deep space that's even older than that, but who cares? But and actually I don't remember where I heard this, but I did hear a thing that apparently carbon dating is only really accurate like up to something in like the 5 figures, like maybe 10 or 20,000 years or something like that, and then after that you're kind of getting into guesswork because it just starts to fall apart.
Yeah, I think I think it's one of the older things. Like, I am disclaimer, I'm not a scientist, but I like sciencey things. In the same way that I just said earlier, or we talked about earlier, I like music.
There you go. All right, I got a couple more here still for y'all.
Do it.
Next up, getting a little political again. Ivanka Trump apparently thinks she's going to ride this insurrection out and be president one day. I don't think so.
Where's that from?
That was a Vanity Fair article. And also comes from her, obviously. They're the narcissists, not us.
Vanity Fair saying it. I was gonna say, well, like, if they're reporting that, that's not like, well, it's clickbaity, but that means they actually have her on tape saying that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like, believing it, which is like, oh, holy shit, okay.
She's probably thinking like, well, nobody called me stank or chode in high school. I got a real shot at this. Not like my dumbass brothers or sister that nobody talks about.
I know, right? Which actually, you know what, could be good for her considering this whole thing. She could just slink away quietly and nobody remembers she's a thing.
Yeah, but they will. I would say the youngest one, Baron, probably has a better chance because he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in a no position of power. He's in no way. He could actually go ahead. He could sell them all down the river and make $1 million, and he'd actually be a self-made millionaire as opposed to the rest of them.
Yeah, right. Which is also exactly what Donald tried to do with his family, was sell them down the river, pretty much. So I don't know if you ever saw like that whole thing about how it came out that he tried to convince his dad after he was like diagnosed with dementia to basically like sign over the whole family estate over to him.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Nor are you at all. That's not even like a theoretical. That's a literal thing. Right.
All right, what you got? What's next?
Last up. All right, here we go. National Rifle Association, that's the NRA, files for bankruptcy, seeking to escape New York lawsuit.
What? There's no way they're bankrupt. No freaking way.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, just because you go out and buy a gun doesn't mean that you're funding the IRA, the NRA. Hopefully not the IRA.
You better fund your IRA, Letty. No, dude, like, the NRA is like one of those powerful lobbying establishments currently. There's no way they're bankrupt.
Well, I mean,
It's just like,
yeah.
We can't go to the party anymore. Why not? Because this is actually his mom. He died, yesterday of, stuff. Like, that's what that sounds like.
Well, I mean, you also got to figure like they make I think they make all their money mostly through, like, membership donations or dues or whatever. And I mean, you also have to think this probably makes a lot more sense, especially after all the shit that's been going on earlier last year, like over the summer and stuff. I'm sure there's plenty of people who have become a bit disillusioned with some of the the horse shit that they've been saying over the last decade or so.
Well, I mean, I'm actually seeing like a number of basically every major news site is confirming this. Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah, there you go. And I mean, that also just means that like only a small percentage, or a lesser percentage of their members are probably like, real gung ho, like, guns over everything type of people. Whereas if you just have like a lot of more moderate people, like, yeah, I like to own a gun and go shooting every once in a while, but then they're like, oh, I don't really want to be a part of this type of organization anymore, sort of thing. So there you go. Maybe we'll have actual new gun laws eventually, for better or worse.
Yeah, I know. Like, because I'm definitely pro-gun, but I'm also, like, doing it right. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
like when people are like, none of my guns should be registered, blah, blah, blah. Like, I should be able to buy a gun at the 7-Eleven. It's like, that's insane. And then if people are like, you should never be able to own a gun ever, I'm also like, oh, that's also not great either.
Yeah. I still think it's crazy that a lot of states, like, you just buy guns at Walmart. Depending.
Yeah, although, depending, I know.
Not my home state. Actually, maybe I take that back. I think I think in my hometown you might be able to buy a gun at Walmart, but
Back in Phoenix, not at Walmart, but you could buy one at Dick's Sporting Goods, like no problem. I think you get up to 226.
that sounds about right.
Maybe.
I don't think it's same day though. I did look up. I had actually because I had been thinking about getting like a handgun for myself just because of my work or whatever. But well, I guess the real ticket would be like if you could get a concealed permit. But yeah, around here, like it's still like it's still like you have to wait like 10 days, and I think you can't get more than one in like a couple month period or something like that. So it's still pretty strict around here. But
Oh yeah.
and you have to you have to prove that you know how to you know what you're doing too. I guess there's like a
Yeah, like you go to a shooting range, you go to somebody who's certified. That's gonna certify you when you get certified.
no, it's actually not even that. It's just like it's just like a reading test, I think.
Huh.
I mean, obviously you'd want
If you don't write, I'll kill everyone.
to. Yeah, right. Well, I would imagine that it's just like you read a thing and it's just like a bunch of multiple choice answers. But if it's anything like the California driving test, it's probably a joke. So I think, yeah, 'cause I mean, well, yeah, that thing was like a 30-question pamphlet. Whenever I switched over to California license, I got 100 on that thing. Like that shouldn't be. You should miss at least like a couple. You know, but
either that or the caliber for California people is way low, way low.
oh yeah, they just give out licenses to anybody around here. And I didn't even study either. I thought like maybe like, oh, I should probably grab one of the like the driver's test prep packets. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, you know what, fuck it. I pretty much know everything for the most part. The only real difference is like, hey, yeah, people have their walkers have the right of way. That's pretty much it. Difference, and which is a whole other issue entirely. But
Yeah. Phoenix, when I took the driver's test and the written and everything, the hardest part was parallel parking. It's just like so much open road and parking in Phoenix. Like you almost never have to parallel park. And like I was the only part of the test I was scared of.
yeah, I think that's true for well, just about everybody. I know that was a real pain. I know that was a real pain in the ass for me.
Camera and everything, it makes it so easy.
Oh,
Like every car has a camera now. It's like so awesome. You don't even have to try it anymore.
that's one thing I'm missing is a camera, but I kind of figured it out now. So
Stay strong.
I mean I'm basically the transporter now, except I haven't killed anybody yet, and I still got hair too. So, but yeah, that's all the articles that I had lined up for now. A little bit more than I usually do, but you know what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah. You gonna do?
Well, that's basically it. That's an hour down.
Oh shit, yeah, it's 10:20. You're good.
So I guess unless you got anything else major you wanna add on.
No, that's it for me. It was mostly just, yeah, what to do when we finally get reunited with the rest of the world and my recent metal discoveries. That's all I had.
So more or less back to normal sooner than later, hopefully. But it sounds like it's going to be later, but whatever. And
I'm betting July. That's what I'm betting, July.
that'd be that'd be more of a sooner estimate. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping too. So.
Yeah, I have a feeling it might go all the way to November, or even into next year. Because why the hell not? At this point, right? But that's just my depressing side.
I mean, even historically, that wouldn't be too bad. Because I think I remember hearing or reading that I guess like the Spanish flu epidemic was like 4 or 5 years, and that was in the middle of a war with people who didn't know any better.
Yeah, the World War, by the way.
Well, I remember one of my bosses, who's an older guy, he was telling me that he'd like some of the stories that his parents had told him was that like a lot of people like coming back from overseas had the flu, and like by the time the ships would get back, like half the people would be dead. But then whenever the doctors would try to like say like, hey, you guys have to quarantine on the ship, and then like the basically the army was like, no, fuck you, we're Americans, these people are going home, and home being literally everywhere in the US. So thanks. But we don't have that this time, so.
Yeah, thank God. And also not. There's no right or wrong answer in this one. I feel like this is one of those things where it's like, I mean, it doesn't matter. We screwed up how to handle it in the first place. It's part of the reason why we're stuck where we are now.
Yeah. I mean, we're also just fortunate that the coronavirus doesn't just knock you out like the same day either. So
Yeah.
there is that.
Yeah, it just moves through you.
But anyways, until then, I guess we're gonna keep potting like this, maybe on Discord, maybe on Zoom later. We're still figuring that out. But yeah, for now, thanks for watching the Jankity Ass podcast again, or listening, depending on wherever. You can get us on every major podcasting platform and some in between. And of course, again, here on YouTube. So go like and subscribe, Multi-Murdy Media. Again, also on Instagram, Facebook. Find the page there. And if you're also watching on YouTube, you also get the other channels that I got on, or the other playlists that I got on here. Gutsy Ass Gamer, that's the video games. Poncho's Paint Booth, that's the hobby stream. I did these guys up a couple weeks ago. Alright, actually no, it was 3 weeks ago now. And then there's also, you also got a couple of Amazon playlists up there if you go to my all my links link down. That's why I was saying before, I got to get another website, because apparently whenever I tried to boost my episode posts, that now for whatever reason counts as like a dating website, since that's like also what all the porn stars use for all their links. So now I can't make any ads with my website. It's fucking stupid. So I gotta go make a new one. Eventually figure it out. I still gotta do the show description too. Everything's a pain in the ass. But anyways, you also have the link for my couple of Amazon wish lists that I got up. One's a 40K wish list that directly supports the paint booth. You get something on there, it'll be featured on the show eventually, and I'll give you a shout out. I also got the music playlist on here. That's all albums that, well, I'm interested in, obviously. And it also directly supports this show, because we have something else to talk about there. And again, you get a shout out in that case. And then, as far as Tom's plugs,
Just if you like more 40K centric stuff, go to TFG Radio, and like us rambling about, stay here.
There you go. So you got two things to watch and listen to. So, as always, thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.